Okay.
Okay. Okay, good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the North Branford Conservation and Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency to order. Again, it's on Wednesday, April 24th, 2019 at approximately 6:31 p.m. And first thing I'd like to do is just call to order and give a roll call of everyone seated today. To my left, we have regular members Bill Gadenzi and Ashley Joyner. To my right, we have and Jerry Fishbeck. I'm sorry, I told you. That's why I gotta be looking at. Sorry, Jerry.
Virtual.
I'm looking at the back of your PC. I gotta get with the program. You gotta put a picture here so that way, you know me, I have ADD.
You should share it.
Anyway, to the right, I have Michelle Pollock, who's recording secretary. We have Carrie Duquez, who is our wetlands administrator and town planner. And I'm Steve Scavell. I'll be chairman for this evening's meeting. First thing we're gonna move on to is minutes, item 3 minutes, March 27th, 2019. Did everyone get a chance to look at them? I know,
Bill can't
Bill
do
can't
anything.
do
I
it,
was not here.
but Jerry, did you get to read the meetings at March 27th?
Yes, I did. I read over the minutes, and I think they're, I move to accept them as written.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Uh,
Okay, very good, minutes accepted, and Bill abstains because he was not here. Next thing, we'll move on to item 4, new business, but we just have a request.
I move to amend the agenda and switch 4A with 4B. So 4B will be first and then 4A.
Okay, do we have a second for
I
that?
second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Did you hear that,
Yeah, he
Jerry?
said aye.
Oh, he did, okay, good.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, just want to make sure you can hear. The sound is okay? All right, good.
Sound is great from you guys, yes.
Okay, very good. So we're going to go to item B, which is IWWA 2019-2, site plan application for restoration of wetland upland review area that has historically been filled at 944 Tutucket Road. Owner, Charles Rubano. Applicant, Nafis and Young Engineers. Application submitted April 15th, 2019.
So I'll just give a quick overview and then let the applicant's engineer review it. This is just the first time that you're hearing this, so it'll just be an overview tonight, and then we'll have to possibly, if you'd like to schedule a site walk.
The sidewalk, yeah.
But this property, 944 Totucket Road, there had been illegal filling that had occurred there years and years ago, prior to my being here. So Carol Zebb dealt with the property owner. I don't know that a cease and desist had been issued for the property, but it ultimately went to court. It was back and forth between the property owner
I
and
remember it vaguely.
there's a lot of legal issues. So we've finally reached an agreement to work with the new property owner to respond to an order that was recorded on the land records requiring that the area be restored. And what's happened over time essentially is that due to filling of wood chips and other material, it hasn't been able to collect water naturally like it had been prior to the filling of the area. So that's what's essentially being proposed.
It's a
Not to
restoration.
steal
Yes.
all of the thunder.
Just a
but
question, is there any, I don't see any buildings
No,
or anything on there now, or is there a house?
There is a house,
Oh, there
yes.
is.
Yep.
Can't see the
Is there
map.
one, I'm just trying to get an idea of the field, how many acres and how?
Yep.
Oh,
Maybe
that,
let
maybe
them-
go over that?
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Can we
Yep,
turn
yep,
over?
yep.
Okay. I just wanted to get some more,
Oh, yeah.
if you could just identify yourself for the
Yes, good evening.
record, please.
We
it
don't
on?
know if that works. It's not on, is it?
Oh, that's all right.
As long as Jerry can.
Yeah, Jerry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you pretty well.
Okay.
All right.
All right, for the record, my name is Jim Galligan. I'm the president of Nafis and Young. We're at 1355 Middletown Avenue in Northford, Connecticut. I'm here representing Charles Urbano in his application for restoration on the property. What I'd like to do is just give you a little bit of history. This is...
Okay now?
She needs you to speak into the microphone
I
for
think
the
it's working, it's
recording.
working now too.
Yeah.
Is it working now?
Well, it does for the recording.
Oh, for
on
the
TV.
recording, yeah, right.
Oh, okay.
Is it?
So it is working?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just doesn't emphasize it
We
here.
don't hear it, but they.
We don't hear it,
Okay.
but the TV does.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay. Well, just give you some idea of where we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is the cemetery over in Northford.
Oh,
The firehouse is here. This is 22, this is 17, and this is Totucket Road, the bend right there in Totucket Road.
Oh, yeah.
The subject parcel is this piece that's in here. The
Yeah, I
Urbano
remember.
residence is a small cape that's on the front. Just to give you some history of what's happened here, this area here drains in this direction, this area drains in this direction. There's a small pond right in here on a private property residence adjacent to the Browno piece. Over the years, the previous owner filled in this piece here with a lot of wood chips. I don't know whether he was in a wood business or knew somebody that was in a wood business that needed a place to dispose of it, but he put thousands of yards of wood chips in this area. This area was a low gravel-based area that was really acting as a groundwater recharge area. And when this pond here that's in the back of the adjacent property owner would fill up, the water would spill over into this area here, and it would pond for a while. You'd get groundwater recharge, and then it would dry up. But, you know, so what the plan here is to restore this back to the original conditions so that when this pond rate comes to its top, it does again empty into this little area here. We want to scrape off all the organic material. I'm not sure how many people here were here when they built the subdivision across from Duty's.
Yeah.
Okay, if you remember when they did the subdivision there, they built that detention basin in front, and they topsoiled it and seeded it. Everything was fine, but the water never went anywhere.
Right.
So Kurt had them take all that topsoil off, and now the water goes in, it percolates into the ground, and recharges the groundwater. Well, that's what used to happen here, and that's what the intention is to restore that and to do that again here. So the water that comes into here isn't going to run off into somebody else's property. This is the low spot. But we want to get the organic material off the top so that the gravel area can start to percolate the water and we can get the groundwater recharge. It's a great example of what the state's MS4 initiative is for stormwater management. It's what they love to see. A lot of this water comes off the state roads. A lot of this water comes off of Totoket Road, would make its way into this low spot, percolate back into the ground, and recharge the groundwater. So that's basically what we're trying to do.
As I remember, there's no natural outlet there, right? Because I do remember, as I think about it, I remember that was the big issue. It had the water all kind of flowed that way, and it had nowhere to go.
Yeah,
but
for some reason, if I was to speculate historically, I would say somebody mined out material here ages ago.
Made it a
Who
low
knows?
area, right?
Made it the low
For
area.
gravel, or took it for gravel.
That's
whatever,
right,
yeah.
and now you've got a perfect groundwater recharge location, worked like a charm, till the guy put a couple thousand yards of
That's-
stump grindings or wood chips or
A
something.
lot of
in there.
organics, unfortunately.
A lot of organics. When you walk on it, it's
Soggy,
real soggy.
I remember, I'm trying to remember, I remember walking it back at the time, and we had a lot of issues with that, but, okay. Thank
So
you.
that's really the application. It's in response to the court order. The court basically said, with town, we want you to make sure this guy does this. The new property owner is saying, I understand when I bought the property that I had an obligation for this. He was willing to do this. He's ready to start upon approval by the commission. And, you know, he wants to do, we're just gonna restore the grades back to the way they were before all this material, we'll call it, material was deposited on the property.
It sounds like it's gonna be obviously a great improvement. As you excavate the material, you're not gonna move it somewhere else on the property, you're gonna truck it out of there. Obviously, the idea is to get it out of there.
No, a lot of
Well,
it's gonna
actually,
stay on
this,
site.
it's a
Think so, or
combination
you
of
going to?
those. It's a
No, this-
combination of those. They're gonna have, there will be some spoils areas that are up gradient that won't have an impact. So they're gonna try and actually, try and lose more than half of it on the site
Oh, okay.
to minimize the trucking. And then the rest of it will be removed off-site to an upland location.
Okay.
How'd I do, Jerry?
And Carrie, is Kurt on board with leaving it on site?
He is. I don't have official comments from him yet, so he's still reviewing it, but he's been working with Navis and Young and their engineers throughout the process to just make sure that everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, what we did is, when Mr. Urbano came to us to ask us to help him with this, we went to Kurt, worked out a scope of work, and then gave him a preliminary plan, and we've been moving plans back and forth as to, where to deposit some of the materials, how much we wanted to deposit. As you can see, do you have these plans? The colored
Yes.
plans? Have
Right,
have
you guys, that was in your packet?
No,
the
we
color?
only have this.
Yeah. just that- yeah,
Oh, okay, sorry.
that's okay. This over here, you guys.
Are you sure it's all just clean wood chips and nothing, no, it's solid waste or something else underneath?
There's been nothing to indicate that.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah.
Nothing to indicate otherwise.
Well, because you mentioned leaving it and then trucking it to an upland area, I'm thinking, well, what are we moving to an upland area? If it's not well characterized.
I imagine, like as Bill said, it will be inspected, like if you
Sure.
find something unexpected there and everything that may, you know, who knows, be something that wouldn't lend itself to move on the fly, I assume at that point you would.
Well, our
We
office
discussed
is,
about
our
moving.
office is close enough so that we can keep a pretty good eye
Yeah,
on
well,
what's
yeah, you're
going
right.
on there,
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? We just,
Yep.
you don't know how.
They're walking
Yeah, it's
distance.
true.
You
Yeah.
never know what got
Yeah.
buried under there. If it's probably fine,
Yeah.
because I'm all for this plan. I think it needs to be done, actually, and it's obviously, it'll be a great improvement, but I just wanted to have a contingency plan. If you get down there and say, wait a minute, we're finding stuff that's not wood chips,
Yeah.
and this could be, you know,
Yeah, well,
drums or who, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you can find bizarre stuff.
Yeah, never know.
So, that's all. I just want to
Good.
make sure that as long
Yeah.
as you're doing that. and
Yeah,
just-
both Kurt and I will be
Okay,
keeping an eye on it.
That's all I asked, just
Cool.
in case you find a surprise, you know, you're.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this town is known for it.
Yes.
So what do we wanna do, schedule a site walk?
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Just take a look at it. It looks pretty straightforward, but it should be good, especially. I don't know, Jared, do you even remember this? This was a way back, but I do remember walking this. With Carol Zeb. You don't, okay. Well, it's all the reason we should, okay, we need to walk it anyway, I think.
And is it possible to schedule that sidewalk after,
Cinco de Mayo?
yeah,
Yeah.
Sure. During the weekend, what's better for everyone?
That's what I'm checking.
I'm gonna be away after the 12th.
Of
So-
May?
Okay, so
So
somewhere
Monday is
between
the
the fifth
6th.
and the 12th, so we've got 1 week.
Can't be.
I can do the 7th or the 10th. Can you do
I
Tuesday or
can't do
Friday?
whatever that Thursday is, because we have
Yep.
planning and
Yeah,
zoning.
so
Actually, the
7th is a
Thursday is
Tuesday
the
and-
second. We have the meeting on the second.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected.
Oh, you had a night off?
It's like,
Okay.
yeah.
Can you do
I missed
Tuesday
the
or
night.
Friday?
Fine with me, either way. That week is good. I just can't do the 13th. It's my son's graduation. That would be the Monday, but we're not talking that, so.
Yeah, that week's fine with me.
College?
Physical therapy.
Nice.
It's huge. Need help.
So, which day?
7th or the 10th?
Yep, either one.
7th is a Tuesday, 10th is a Friday. Do you have a preference, Jer?
Seventh.
no, I
It's
can
town
make
council.
Seventh.
anything work.
7th?
When is town council?
I'll never make it
7th.
here on a Friday.
Oh, 7th is town council. Well,
But if we have it at,
doesn't start till 7.
right,
Yeah, so we'd have it in the
That's fine.
5:30, 6 o'clock. What time can you get there, Steve?
I can work around it. I can get there by 5:30 if
Okay.
you want. Is that good for everyone?
5:30 is good.
5:30?
yeah.
No, I can
Yep.
get on here by then.
is that okay?
That'd be great.
Okay. Would you be able to have the property owner and maybe the person who's doing the work there?
I can ask about the property owner.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the fellow that's gonna be doing the work.
Okay, then 7th.
Okay.
5:30.
That sounds good.
So,
So May 7th at 5:30.
7th at 5:30.
Jerry, you look a little pale in there.
It's the tan.
It's the angle.
Yeah.
We'll tilt him
the
up a little
tan.
bit.
Here we go.
Don't feel sorry for Jerry. He's in a nice
Yeah,
place.
don't feel sorry for him at all.
He's doing quite well down there.
Yeah.
I assure you, I'm not pale.
We can tell. I can see it. 5:30.
Okay. Okay.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, all
Thank
set.
you.
Thank you.
Continue it to the 22nd.
Thank you.
Do we have to
need a
move
motion
to do that?
We need a motion.
Motion for the
Right?
sidewalk and then a motion to continue.
Okay, I move that we hold a site walk at 944 Tutucket Road on May 7th at 5:30 PM.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
All right, and the second motion is to continue the application.
I move that we continue application IWWA 2019-2, site plan application for restoration of wetland upland review area that had historically been filled at 944 Tutucket Road, owner Charles Rubano, applicant Nafis and Young, and that we continue?
Yeah,
Continue.
Okay, until we continue until the next meeting.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. That
Thank you.
application will be continued to the next meeting.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, now we can move on to, under new business, item A, IWWA 2019-1, site plan application after the fact for clearing trees located within wetlands and the 100-foot upland review area at 78 Colonial Drive. Owner applicant Keith and Noel Durkin. Application submitted April 3rd, 2019.
So I had received a call from someone in the neighborhood that they heard chainsaws, trees being cut down, so then Tom went out and took a look and saw that, some trees had been cut down, within the wetlands, or 100 feet of the wetlands. So, the property owner submitted an application, has been very cooperative, paid the fee, which is actually double since it's after the fact.
After the fact.
So now we're kind of going through the application process after the fact. And I think that you had said to Tom that the trees were cut down.
Yeah, I have
because-
pictures, you can show how rotted they are.
And they were rotted and.
Yeah, and our power lines, like I've called UI a million times, are about 10 feet off our ground from the cul-de-sac to the house. They said they're not responsible for it, because those trees in the wind, I mean, they're pretty much laying on it.
Yep,
When we had the addition put on last year, the in-law addition,
yeah,
they cut down a couple of trees, and the tree guy at that time said, listen, I'd be watching out for these things, they're gonna fall on your house. So I called UI, they're not responsible for them, so I'm like, before they fall in the new addition and all that, and the branches, every storm we had this winter, like the front yard is just, they're swamp maples, and if you guys want, I can show you the middle of them, if that helps.
yeah, I have these, but they have, I think you had seen.
So that was why you cut the trees?
Yeah, that's the only, I mean, we love the wetland.
We just have to
skate
ask.
on it in the
Oh,
winter,
no, no.
we
We
love
just,
the
we just
water
like to
there.
know, why,
Yeah.
obviously is part of
But
it.
you see, that was the middle of like the biggest one.
Oh, so they were.
Here, you can
they
pass
were-
it
And
down
then
to
you-
them.
Oh, sure,
Sorry.
that's okay.
And then you can kind of, this one right here, where they used to be, like one was leaning right over the power lines, the other ones, and what they are is just swamp maples. I had this horrible picture during the winter, but they're all like 5 branches that come out of like the trees. So the tree guys didn't even know how they have been standing this long.
Now, it looks like this standing, this is on your property.
Yeah, that's my property
Is
right
it
there.
like, it looks like there's just like a depression,
It's
no outlet,
actually-
there's no outlet
Why I'm here,
for
I
it.
kinda wanna ask you guys what I can do, cause in the next, since we've been here since '03, it's probably eroded probably a couple more feet every year, like that little, gully that comes down like around there.
So like this
Yeah,
area.
so I don't know if it's possible, like scoop it out to make it deeper, or how that, I mean, eventually I'm gonna have no spot from here to here. Like, see my lawn right there, like the front of the house, that's probably about 10, 12 feet right there. And here's another one of the trees, that's just disgusting.
Well,
encroaching.
What you wanna do is stabilize it, so
Yeah.
obviously.
And then the other
Is that
one,
what
I
you
was
want me to
actually
do?
in the process of cutting down before we found and sold the white truck in front of the house. That's what I cut down.
Oh, that's the
Was,
allergy, okay.
this is the last one right there,
So this is
that's,
the trees that.
you can see it is right there. And it's pretty much, you can see the branch, it's like leaning on the house. And that one he said is all rotted out too, but obviously I said,
And just,
listen, don't cut anymore.
but just so you know, we, when it comes to health and safety,
Well, these
we're
are
not
already
against
gone,
when
that's
people
why, 'cause
cut
I'm trying to
trees
figure out
in a
where
wetland that are dying, and of course, if it involves the health, safety, welfare of your, I mean,
Yeah.
so it's not that we're against that, we just need to regulate it to make sure that,
Oh, but, yeah, definitely.
you're not cutting live, healthy trees, cause if anything, that would exacerbate your, or
Yeah,
accelerate
my
your.
cell phone has gone for
Right,
about
no,
3 months now.
Cause you want, that's what I'm saying, every tree that's in the roots is
I
gonna
just
save
want-
water.
something to suck
So
that water up.
you understand, right?
My
Obviously,
game
it's-
plan is, I also wanna ask you too, is.
it's to your
about
benefit to
putting,
keep
like arborvitae's back along that whole thing right there, because I know they suck some pretty good water. I don't really wanna put any kind of trees back there, because I don't want the same thing to happen, God forbid I'm there in 15
It looks like your arborvitae's need like full sun, but it looks like you catch
I
full
get
sun in
sun
there.
all the way until it gets about the top, so it
Just,
starts
so you know,
over here, yeah,
I've
it
had
starts
that, cause I
like
did
that.
the similar thing with an area I wanted to stabilize, and, that was the only thing I had, that was
Like right now, we
told.
put some hostas there over the years to try and soak some water up
Yeah.
through the hostas, but those trees were. just
Yeah, I mean,
bad.
anything you can do to plant there,
Yeah.
We may wanna have a landscape company come out and
A lot of them don't wanna touch it,
recommend.
it goes well, and they wanna put in like whole curtains rooms and, I mean, right now the sub pump keeps up with it.
But just
so-
for planting ideas, I
Oh,
don't know which
so
types of
okay,
plants.
But I mean, this pond is there, it's,
Yeah, it'll
it
stay
has
like
now,
that
it's
till
not.
probably mid-July, and then it'll
Probably go down a little bit,
big.
right, then it fills in
Yeah.
a rain event or something, okay, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to understand.
Like this past winter, it was high enough where it froze and the kids were out there, you know, fooling
Oh,
around, skating
yeah.
on the ice and stuff.
But it doesn't look like it has a natural outlet, right?
No, actually, this is the overflow somehow that comes down all over Volley. Yeah,
Really?
or actually, it starts at ours supposedly. My neighbor Deep Fleece across from me said, yeah, so I guess, yeah, so there's a brook that, or stream that comes down here off the pond, like all through
Oh.
the backyards and goes out there. So I think this is actually the runoff somehow off Summit Drive. It comes down and goes under the road
Sheets in
and
there.
then fills up that at the
Well,
end.
I don't know where, and I also don't know where your,
Yeah,
you know, your storm sewers that
Yeah,
drain, maybe
and there's
add some
one is
drain
up-
there, I don't know,
one right there
that's
in
for
front of
sure.
the mailbox.
Hey, guys,
What, Jerry, you wanna see too?
What's that?
no, I'm just having a real hard time, figuring out where this all is. Is this the house, that has a baseball diamond?
Yes. It used to, not anymore. My wife made me plant real grass.
Okay, so this is the house, here's the cul-de-sac on Colonial
That's so funny
Drive,
that you remember that.
here's the house, and this is
It's on-
where
it's
the
still on
trees were
Google
cut
Maps.
right
It's
here.
like on Google Earth, that's all I know. Those three
Okay,
softball
hold on
teams,
one
so.
second. The house, what is the structure behind the house?
I
Where
don't
the
know, what is
baseball
this?
field?
That
Structure.
is, that's our house.
This is
with
your
the solar
house.
panels on it.
The solar
This is
field.
your house.
Yeah,
What's
that's-
this structure behind your house?
Cool.
Oh, that's our pool that we just put in, what, 2 years ago?
Okay, so that's an
Right
in-ground
before the
pool.
addition.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
That's what probably with the cover on it, the pool cover on it.
But that's in the, way in the back, okay, I
It's
see.
behind the
Behind
house.
the house, right, yeah,
Yeah,
so it's not this side of the wetlands, so.
all right, so where is this pond that you're talking about?
Right
Front
here,
yard.
and this is where the trees were cut.
So,
It's at the end.
okay, because I'm looking at a picture from, I think, 2007, I wanna say. And that whole area is nothing but trees.
This is what it looks like now.
I mean, there's a bunch of.
If you look to the
found
left of
critters.
that, there's tons of trees,
Yeah.
it's all somewhere in the actual wetlands.
In
some
about 2
around
more
this
months, you
fringe
really
of
won't
it.
be able to see in there, except for the area where we cut down those 4 trees. And when those trees grows in, that's when the poison ivy and all that stuff was all wrapped around there and stuff like that. So when we first moved in back in '03, we pulled out like prickers, you know, that's like no trees or anything like that, just like, pricker bushes that were, you know, they didn't landscape our property at all when we got the house.
All right, so you cut 4 trees,
Yeah,
and it was
Stumps
my
right here.
understanding that these 4 trees were not in good shape?
no, they can show you some of the pictures. They're just-
Where, can one see the power line on the map?
Right here, here's the power line,
The power line is
and
approximately,
this is where the trees are.
Service line.
yeah, it's about 10 to 11 feet high off the ground.
Okay,
And the UI said they can't tighten it, and they can't do anything about it. If those trees fall down and take out that wire, it's gonna be all on me as the homeowner. So that- Because they said it was the line from the
Right.
pole to the house.
If it hits this one on the street, if
Yeah.
it falls the other way,
Then
you're
I'm
covered,
good.
no, I know,
Yeah.
it's,
right,
So,
yeah. I love it.
so the only way you can see these
We
trees,
understand, thank you very much,
yeah,
everyone.
no problem.
Here's one last picture.
And you guys can keep those pictures if you want to review.
Carrie?
them.
Do you need mine or
I have one.
This was,
So just a question, what
March?
did you, what,
when was the addition?
before you do anything else in there, obviously the trees are going, we understand. What would you like to do there? I
Just
mean,
something like arborvitae's or even like, rocks, like, you know how you guys have right over here, when you guys did all that work, like, you know, those Cocon rocks? Like something like those boulders just around it, just to kinda stop the land from washing out every time it
Green.
rises and.
prevent erosion. I mean, the arborvitae, what's nice about those is it won't get big enough to affect your
No.
power lines,
Yeah.
but they'll
It's not
provide a
always-
natural, cause the other thing with the pond too is, you know, you don't want it to overheat and everything, because then you're
I
gonna.
mean,
you're
they're
gonna-
down there all the time,
Jeremy,
testing
you
for
wanna
West
keep
Nile and all that, like.
It just, it'll make a better environment, you know, cause it'll get smelly, it'll get, you know,
Oh, yeah.
it's, you know,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
well, you know, I know. I live in a wetland,
Yeah.
wetlands behind me, so I believe me, I know, a little different, mine's in my back, but I have to deal with the same thing. It's just that before you do anything, just maybe just give
Maybe
Carrie a
just
call, and then she can guide you and for whatever you wanna plant, you know. Cause if you're planting something within 100 feet of the wetlands,
Well,
you know,
that's
we
when it was
just,
printed.
Oh.
we just wanna make sure there's no excavation, you know, I mean, it wouldn't be excavating, you would
No,
just be
no,
planting,
no,
yeah, that's all,
yeah.
we're just trying to prevent any
Yeah.
erosion, cause
I'm just thinking like rocks or something.
To stabilize it,
stop,
yeah.
Exactly.
our arborvitae wouldn't be, as long as you have sun, you know, cause they do need sun,
I don't know if
but
that's
that
when
looks
they
like
had
a good
like
area
the
for
duly
that, you know, so
authorized
something.
agent,
You have
and
deer?
they were foreign, because I
What's
feel
that?
like
You have
the
deer?
additions
Oh,
were
yeah.
like in
Yeah,
April,
deer, a
so
lot
this is
of
like-
coyotes this year.
Because this plan doesn't show
You know,
either.
deer love arborvitae.
Yeah,
That's
they
the
go
only
to
thing
my,
with.
they cut down my neighbor's house and kinda they cut through the back of where like Dollar General is.
Yeah.
They usually stay on that side. And then they go up to Summit off that way.
But you know, once they start growing, cause I put a row in and,
Yeah, I
when they were
mean,
young, I had to
yeah.
watch out, but
Yeah.
once they grew a couple feet, they don't seem to bother them, because I get deer, I see tracks all the time, but they don't seem to, but you're right, if they're small and young, they'll eat them, you know, but,
The water area, the pond area, does that go into somebody else's property as well?
No, I think it just runs between my property and the property on Rivaldi. It runs down through the backyards of all those houses.
Okay, so it does
Yep.
impact other people?
Yep. So, I mean, there's never been any problem from drainage going through that back area, nothing like that. I mean, 'cause there's a million trees that have fallen down and debris from the old owners and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
I'll get right back.
I know I have a sub pump, I know the one on the other side of the pond.
I can
has a
see
sub
it,
pump.
you're
So
right.
there's the front of the house.
Right.
Yeah,
I knew
that's
that,
the
I know that's a pond.
Yeah, and this is where the trees.
Right.
It's almost like 4 houses that kind of butt up to the pond.
I was trying to
So there's
figure
a
out
couple,
how far.
that's why I was trying to figure a couple lots there.
There's like 4 that are pretty much they can see from their yard backyards.
It looks like the wet area, the green is,
Yep.
follows the
Exactly.
trees there,
Yep.
so.
So you got my house here, you
Right.
got the house here, then there's a house here on Rivaldi, a house here on Rivaldi. And then the rest of these just have that little tiny
Right.
creek that runs through the back.
Just in case you don't want to look at it, just to get an idea of where the.
So were there additional trees that you were hoping to cut down?
Just
but
that
stopped?
one, last one that's left, like if you come down in the cul-de-sac and you see that one that's like right by the front stoop.
Is that the one that
The
looks
one that's,
dead
the
also?
one that
It's
you see,
gonna-
the last one that's like hanging over the
Yeah.
house.
That looks like, it just doesn't look too good. It
Like
looks
3 people over, like stop by and be like, how come you didn't cut that tree down? I'm like,
This one should-
Yeah, no,
Do we know if it's dead?
I haven't been out there to see it.
That's with the landscape, I mean, the tree guy, but of course, I mean, everything's good too, sometimes too, they wanna go.
Well, in the
Yeah.
winter, it
Some of
looks
them are
dead.
so
well, you know, you'll know in about a week or two,
Yeah.
because it's flooding, so we'll know,
Yeah.
we'll definitely be able to tell, if, you know, if we decide we wanna do a
Yeah.
sidewalk and look at it.
I mean, even if it is alive and we can save it, I'm more than happy with that, and maybe if we can just trim 1 or 2 of those weaker, heavier branches off,
Better.
and I'll be fine with that, you know?
Okay, yeah. I mean, just 'cause anything that'll absorb water is to your
Yeah,
benefit,
trust me,
you know,
definitely.
until you
Yeah, and
stabilize
it
this.
helps stabilize and not spread so far into your yard,
Yeah.
so.
We'll
Do
see
we
about
wanna
putting
go
some
out there?
weeping willows in
Mm.
there.
Do we wanna go out there?
I think so, it'd be good to see it, and then, especially since
Sure.
the homeowner has some ideas of stabilizing it, be easier to make some
Yeah.
recommendations
To
if
see
we
it.
saw it, so.
Jerry, you okay with that?
Yeah, how about May 7th,
Yeah.
We'll go from one site to the other.
Does that work for
Wouldn't be
you?
the first time.
Yeah, I mean, do I have any games? I'm sure I coach 3 times, so I'm sure I got.
Yeah, if we just can look at it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you obviously know what it looks like, as long as it's someone you don't mind us being there, we just wanna look at it, it won't take long, it just is better for us to see it sometimes, and that way, if you move forward and do anything, we can make some, you know, some educated, suggestions, so.
Okay, so May 7th at 6 PM.
Yep.
Can we email you too? Yeah.
Yeah, if there were one.
Usually
Is there
rains,
any reason, or
so.
are you gonna go and see them? They're all
Yeah.
still there.
No,
Yeah.
It'll be nice and rainy. You might be
Probably.
home anyway.
Coach with Dean, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We used to coach with
Yeah.
Dean. His older
Yeah.
daughters.
Rachel
You got
or
Yeah.
Rachel?
Yeah.
Sarah and Rachel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, both of our kids
He's
played
actually
on the
there right
team.
now, probably.
Yeah.
He took
I
the
just
guy
ran
with
into him
bronze.
too and said hi.
Yeah.
so we just need a motion then for the sidewalk, right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
if someone would like to make a motion.
Okay, so I move that we, have a site walk for for IWWA 2019-1, 78 Colonial Drive for 6 PM on May 7th, 2019.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And do you need a motion to continue it?
Yes. that'd be-
Right, same
Yep.
pitches as like the other one, okay.
Right.
If
You wanna do
someone
that
would
one, Bill?
I move to continue IWWA application 2019-1, site plan application after the fact for clearing trees located within wetlands and the 100-foot upland review at 78 Colonial Drive.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. You're all
Thank
set.
you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for
Thank
coming in.
you.
Okay, now we can move to item 5, which is other business. Item A, update on 1565 Middletown Avenue, Mill Pond Tavern.
So I was hoping to have Andy Bizzuto here this evening, but his daughter is having a baby. So,
Excuse me.
this is her second child, I guess.
Well,
Dennis Bizzuto did drop off plans, if you wanna take a quick look.
Should we wait till maybe they come in next time to tell? I mean, I guess we could look in case
It's
there's.
up to you, so.
Well, we did ask him for these,
The
so-
interesting
We did,
thing
yeah.
about the plans is that they're not specific to wetlands. So there is not, you can see where the farm river is, but,
Is there anything you can tell us, like, when you say update, anything?
sorry, Jerry, this is not very helpful for you.
I just figured if you knew the updates, then we
Why don't you
We can-
stop down,
We
Jerry?
can hold Jerry
You can
this way.
turn him, yeah, turn him a little
We
bit.
can turn Jerry.
I'm gonna turn you, Jerry, you tell me if you can see.
We'll face it downward just a little bit.
Nope, oh wait. Maybe. Okay, so 17 Middletown's here, Farm River. So when I had the engineering scale, 200 feet is somewhere around here. Or maybe even a little bit higher. So anyway, the majority of the parking area falls within agency's jurisdiction, obviously everything on this side, which he's not proposing anything, but he needs planting plan. Mhm.
It was, right?
No,
So-
it's always been up the hill.
Look here, let's flip it back and we'll see. Well, there
Some paved that
there
around
is,
there.
there is
But you-
existing
All the
parking
way down to
area.
the
Hold on,
Real
Jerry,
quick.
what did you say, Jerry?
I said, isn't the entire existing parking lot within the 200-foot
Yeah,
review?
the upper one too, yep.
The upper one, it's only a portion, well, I don't have, it's not marked on these plans, but when I measured it with an engineering scale, it was somewhere around here. Regardless, what I think the commission, and I mentioned this to Andy, what you'll be looking at crucially is the stormwater runoff.
Yeah.
So from that parking area, because it is proposed to be graded in this direction, and then obviously a planting plan. So I had said to him, it's great that he has these plans in, it's not a submittal by any means, because we don't even have a wetlands application, but it's, what I'd really like to see as soon as possible is, a planting plan, because now's the time to get some
Yes.
plants in.
Yeah.
And I've gotten a lot of calls, and I've been out there quite a bit regarding the work that he's been doing on the existing dam.
Yeah.
So this wall, I have before and after pictures. So he's done a lot of work out there. It does not appear that the footprint has expanded. I have no proof of that, to be honest, so, you know, I've been just monitoring it as best as I can. And it's almost kind of the situation where it's like, do what you have to do to shore it up and then get out of there, which he's out of
Right.
there now. But so this was the, right, August 28th. Now, I don't have exact, replication, but this is from inside of the building, there's the railing, and you're looking at the wall. This is kind of from back here.
Looking down the wall.
Right, and this is also looking kind of down the wall.
That
That's
was an
an
existing wall from
existing.
the mill.
that's
Yeah.
from the other
So
side.
the other thing
This side looks
here's,
pretty cool.
That's the
here's
highway side of the
Yeah,
hill.
that was like,
before,
it's pretty cool
Um,
actually how they did that.
so this is actually a good comparison.
Holding us.
So this is August, obviously before. You can see there's the edge of the new decking, existing decking, so there's the brick, there's the
So
wall.
filled in some.
He didn't fill in, this was here, because you're like standing on this, right? Exactly, and that's where it is hard to see. What he did do is he put these large boulders, and I think I know we need a sidewalk out there. He put large boulders around here, underneath of the decks. He said, I thought that might be a good thing, but if,
But this is in that lower area.
Yes,
So this,
yes.
he must have filled that in a little bit.
He had like a raft
Okay.
when the machine was working, and then he took all of the material out not ideal, don't get me wrong. I was out there like pacing back and forth like, oh my gosh. But the wall is,
Are they done, like, are they hopefully done
they are
with it,
done
or-
in that area, so I think they still have, I haven't been out there this week, but last I was out there, he was still just working on the top part of this, but the machine was out. It was on the upland area.
I mean, the rocks are fine, but anytime you see soil that close to the water, there's always a chance for erosion, but,
Right.
you just gotta look at it.
Right.
And the riprap looks like you put that on there to stabilize it, which I guess makes sense, better than having bare dirt there.
Right, and I know
Is that what?
from what he
That's
told
behind
me
the building.
anyway.
That's behind, oh,
Right, so this was,
That's it? We're not done yet. We're still meeting.
so this is, let's see. Oh, here. Before there's the tree, here's the tree. So they took that deck
Yeah, it's
down.
before and after. I remember he was gonna take that out
Mhm.
because it was leaning toward the building.
And this area that has this Japanese knotweed, there's large boulders placed at the top of the embankment with silt fence there as well. So I think we just really need to go out there and have everyone
I mean,
The
it's,
silt
take a
fence
look.
here is underwater, is the river, so
Mhm.
I can see that.
I mean, it's a tough area to work, but the idea is to get it done and get out of there. I mean, but luckily he's got all the footings in and everything. From what I can see driving by, that's done.
Right.
The metal deck is support. Do you know what I mean? So there's no reason to go back in there unless
Here's that raft thing that I was talking about.
we tell him to go back in there, but we'd rather him not.
And that's actually covering up this.
What was the raft for?
For rebuilding
For
the
the
wall.
machine.
An excavator on.
He had an excavator on a raft?
Yeah.
Remember that, Jerry, who said he was gonna do that? Remember, we were out there
He's not
first time, and he said he'd do that to do it without hurting the, I mean, I guess
No,
that's better
no.
than going right, because he didn't wanna obviously go right into the stream bed. So I guess it was a better alternative.
This is pretty recent.
Yeah, see, this was all water before.
Oh, this is
Right, and
very
it
old.
is again.
Yeah, and that's, right, those are all the new
That
footings,
in
yeah.
between?
That's just before we put all the decking, yeah, because that's the biggest part of the project was doing that. So we were hoping to have them do that and get out of there. And then,
Notice that.
there's a lot of vegetation in there.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
state
yeah.
cut a lot down, you could never see that unless you were standing like right, and even then there
That's
was.
exactly what I was thinking. If the state didn't do all the cutting, nobody would be really aware of this.
We wouldn't even, it was all totally covered with vines and, vegetation, you never would have known unless you were like canoeing down the river.
So I think that we may need a separate date for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
this is
Yeah, we
way
can't do
longer.
3 in one night.
We need, but this could be a good half hour depending on.
Look, we have new guests.
Sunflowers.
So there's really nothing we can do, there's no motion.
No, this
needed,
is
it was just-
really just, I was hoping
So-
that he would be here to do this explanation, and then
Well,
you could
I
ask him
assume
questions.
so we'll have to do a sidewalk, should we wait till he comes and explains what he's doing, or should we just
I
schedule a
would,
sidewalk?
I would have a sidewalk.
Okay, then we'll just schedule one, okay. So obviously, I don't know how you guys, whatever you think is good.
Well, we
Well, we
only
should-
did
we
it
should
that
make
week
sure
because
he's
of
there,
Mavis
though,
and
right?
Young.
Right, we
So-
can do it
Yes.
the next week, right, we can do a
I
Saturday.
talked with
maybe,
him today, and
whatever
he
you want.
said, schedule a site visit, and
Okay.
I'll confirm that he can attend, but
And when's our next meeting?
the 22nd of May.
Okay, so I've got the 14th or 15th.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, it's fine.
You wanna do the 14th?
Okay.
Is that okay?
Jared, is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay with me.
What day is that?
14th. What
May
time are we doing it?
It's
Five-
Tuesday.
5:30?
Tuesday.
Mhm. What time? 5:30 again?
Sure.
Tuesday.
That was Tuesday, the what?
14th. 5:30.
Okay.
Okay.
He's gonna be fun.
All right, then I guess we can.
So do we have to move for a sidewalk?
Yes.
I move that we hold a site walk on the update on 1565 Middletown Avenue, Mill Pond Tavern for May 14th at 5:30.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so done. So we will now move on to item B under other business, discussion regarding possible expansion of approved work, including dredging the pond at 33 Notch Hill Road.
The property owner had come in and requested that I put this on the agenda because he wanted to expand the work that had been approved, I think almost 3 years ago now. But he wasn't able to make it, so I think we just continue this to the
Where-
next.
Oh, okay.
Where
I was
is
gonna
this?
say.
So Notch Hill, close to Route 1,
Okay.
on the eastern side.
Oh, the pond way
in the
behind
back.
that driveway, okay.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we
Or
drove
the
back, I
fish.
remember that,
Yeah.
yes.
What's that, Jerry?
Didn't we walk this?
Yes.
Yes.
Years ago?
Yeah,
We
walked the
did,
whole
right.
perimeter- The whole
Yeah.
perimeter, I remember.
Right.
because all this stuff was encroaching and,
Around the
yeah.
pond.
And the fish
Yes.
Yeah,
were
everything was
dying.
filling in
Yes,
and
right.
dying,
It was-
yeah.
It was so much silting out,
Yep.
yes, yeah.
Yep.
Yep. All right. we
Okay,
just
so we just
need a
continue?
motion to
Yeah,
continue.
let's just,
Don't
you don't have to do
Oh,
anything,
just
'cause
it was
I'll
just
wait
not- it
and
wasn't really
see
an
if he wants
application,
to,
right,
right.
okay.
Okay.
So we'll just move on to, let's see, item C. Excuse me.
I left 2 voice messages since the last meeting for the property owner at 261 Tucket Road, no word back.
That's haven't heard.
Is this the when they put the rock wall in for
Yes.
the river there?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you wanna proceed, I'll follow up again tomorrow and say that he really needs to get on the agenda for May 22nd, even if he just comes in and gives us an update, what about
Mhm.
that?
That would be
Yeah.
nice, cause I hope he plans on living there for 100 years, cause, well.
We're gonna
after-
hound him until then.
After we put a lien on it,
Right.
Yeah.
he's not gonna be able to sell the property. But whatever, it's just to his advantage to come in and get this squared away.
How long do we wanna go before we make that attempt?
I don't know what the standard length would be. I mean, I certainly would wanna avoid that, but I'm saying that's our last, really our.
And I think it would be
Is he
don't-
aware that we're considering putting a lien on the house?
no, I mean, what if he's not?
Yeah, okay.
So that could be a good opportunity when he comes
Yeah.
in.
Well,
Yeah.
if he doesn't respond to you, doesn't come in, then I think someone just give the message that this could be the end
Yes.
result of this not being, addressed, that we will.
Okay,
Legal.
and he had submitted the paperwork, the application, just filled out describing what he had done
With no fee?
with no fee, but also with no backup engineering, saying that what
Just
he
did a hand
did
drawing,
was
yeah.
adequate or
Yeah.
safe. So that's where,
legal.
yes,
Legal, right.
so that's
Those were some
where-
pretty big rocks he put in there. I mean, it didn't look horrible. I mean,
Yeah.
all aside, I'm not saying he should have done it.
No, I
but
know,
it
I
actually
think that's what
didn't-
we all
it
said
didn't
when we were
look
out there, yeah.
horribly done, so whoever did
Yeah.
it at least,
Right,
but anyway, that's another whole nother issue.
okay, so I will follow up with him.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess we can move to item D, update on Farm River Watershed Project.
So that, we have a meeting set for May 2nd at 1 PM, if you're able to
Right, I
attend
saw
and are
that.
interested. So that is regarding, NRCS, the Natural Resource Conservation Services, to focus on the Farm River and do a watershed plan, essentially working mainly with farmers, but hopefully also looking at property owners and how to improve the water quality of the Farm River.
And this was delayed, wasn't it?
Yes. Yep.
Let's see if I can get.
So I don't have an agenda yet, but when I do, I can forward it
But
along
the
to
time
you.
is pretty firm, 1 o'clock.
It is, yep, and it will be here.
All right. Let's see if I can go. Okay. Then I guess we can move on to item 6, Wetland Enforcement Officers Report.
So I did receive an application, I'm not sure that it's fully complete yet, but I did just wanna mention it for 50 Fowler Road. So I don't know if you wanna take a quick look at those plans, kinda similar.
Is this something new or?
So that's,
This is a new
so,
problem.
this is Cherry Hill,
Yeah.
Oh,
uh,
yeah, okay. that
over
file, gotcha.
55
Doug Anderson?
Yes,
housing.
yes, okay.
So I'll just do a quick review of that with you. So I'm waiting on the wetlands report and possibly a few other items, but I have the
Come on, Bill.
plans.
Yep.
We're up and moving again.
And we did, Kurt and I met with the engineer, which is Mike Ott.
I think he was here a year or
Yes.
so ago telling us some proposed changes. Is that the
Right,
picture I'm
so
thinking of?
they have, essentially, it's over 400,000 square feet of wetlands being impacted. So that includes upland, that includes wetlands, and that includes water courses. So there's 3 crossings.
Wasn't there
Project.
just one before?
There's always 2, I believe. I thought there was 2.
I don't know.
I'm trying to
I
remind
think,
me.
I think there were 2.
This has changed so much, I can't remember, but I thought from the original one on there was 2, but,
So here's Notch Hill Road, they did purchase these 2 properties, so they have a proposal of having the driveway in here. They are proposing to fill in a small area of wetlands here, you'll see.
it's still a better access than their other plan for safety.
And.
I don't know about that.
There's a curb cut on
Yeah.
State Highway, but.
Then another crossing, this is the existing crossing, so that, it's not a new crossing, but because of the regulations, they have to increase the opening of the pipe.
Right.
The amount of traffic.
Right.
that would-
But also the Army Corps
Okay.
used to require like a 25% opening, and now it's like 80% in relationship to the length of the span. And then the 3rd crossing is over here in Fowler.
Yeah, so this is the additional one. that
Right,
we're
right,
opening.
that's what I thought, those were the original ones,
Yeah.
that's, right, because they never had this
Right,
property
and this
until
is a
recently.
fill-in instead of an opening, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
They're gonna have to, yeah, if they wanna access that, it's got
And then
some kind of-
we'll have to, like I say, I have not
We could do a
reviewed
bridge
it.
just like this. Okay.
I have not
There's
reviewed
alternatives.
it, fully, but obviously the wetlands are this flagged area. I believe this dashed line is 50 feet. 50 or maybe, I'll have to double check.
It's gotta be more than that, because
Must
don't they
be
need a
100.
setback for these other houses?
They do, but this is the age-restricted housing district zoning,
Okay.
so the setback is less, I think it's only 10 feet from the road.
And these are already there, or these are proposed?
Proposed.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing
Everything
there
that you
now.
see here is proposed, so they're proposing, it looks like 6
Oh, wow,
here.
in this,
Mhm.
and this is gonna be rezoned to age-restricted housing?
It already was, yep.
Wow, P and Z passed that?
There were 2 houses
Passed
here that
the
they wanted to
zone
as well.
change, did not approve.
Yeah, we
This is
didn't
a
approve
special
any.
use
Oh, one of those
permit
houses is an existing structure, right, it's right
for,
on
the layout.
Okay, and that hasn't come up yet, or it has?
No.
No.
This
Has not.
has
No, they have to do the, well, I should, wetlands.
Well,
The
Wetlands.
ability to do this is approved, but
Correct,
this
the-
exact
Right.
What they
layout
actually
has
do
not
in the
been
wetland, right, yeah, we have not approved anything
Like,
for the crossing or the filling or anything.
None of this layout.
Wow.
So I have a question on that. I mean, how close are they to actually doing this? I mean, they're obviously still taking out gravel and doing, I mean, have they finished that? I'm just trying to understand, you know,
I think they're close, I mean, they've
Okay.
submitted plans, so this is the closest.
I assume they wouldn't be doing this, so
They're
we're talking that they're pretty
Yeah.
much done with the excavation part of it now, it's more the site it's getting
We haven't
approval
approved
and then, okay, well, that's good to know.
Alright.
Quick question, are all the material piles still there?
Yes,
And is
We haven't
that
approved any
being
of these
kept
houses.
for use of the project, or are they selling it?
I don't know, good question, but we can ask them.
What was the question?
If the material that's been piled up there will be used for the project, or if it will be,
'Cause a lot of the
trucked
rock-
off.
A lot of the
We've
rock and
asked them
stuff
that
was there,
before.
yeah, I mean, cause that's where I was alluding to, if
I
they're
mean,
done with their
they're-
rock crushing
over in
operation,
Orange,
because there was
the
a lot of
Grassy Hill
material that was
Road,
there at one
The
point.
project that they finished several years ago, they're still selling the material from the
Mm.
piles that are still on that site years later. So,
Yeah.
you know, something to be thought about when it comes to, you know, the future use of this.
Mhm.
Well, we're gonna have to have another sidewalk before we could even entertain anything, I think.
Right, so
honestly.
they had submitted this, like I say, the plans, the, wetlands application, but not the full wetlands report. They submitted a planting plan, but as far as starting the clock, in my view, I think the next meeting, we'll put it on the agenda and
Okay.
start the clock.
So, right, we're not putting it on the agenda tonight, which is
No.
fine, because why, it just puts more pressure on us to, you know, it's,
Right, so then what I thought is at the May meeting, we can have them do their presentation.
Oh, okay.
Then the commission can, I told them that I would imagine this is going to be significant, how could it not
Oh,
be?
absolutely.
Yeah, right,
Oh,
so then,
absolutely.
and they paid that fee,
Right.
reflecting a significant
you know,
activity.
it's going to be.
And
I would
public
say,
hearings.
yes.
So then at the May meeting, I don't even know if you want them to present, maybe they just do a quick overview, so at least you
Well, I'd
can
like to
say
hear
we've
what-
heard it, but then
yeah.
you'll want them to do it again at a public meeting.
I'd like to have
Which
some.
would have said it in
Yeah,
June,
I'd
I
like
would
to have
say.
them come
Is this
next meeting and
already-
do like a pre-application, whatever you wanna call it. We just, because this is such a huge project.
This part was already
So,
approved by us.
so are we basically starting over
nothing's
from
except-
scratch?
Yes,
Wow, okay.
yes. I actually just asked about one of the branches, Jerry, whether or not that was approved by wetlands, previously.
This whole section down here.
I would say not exactly, so I would
Scale
almost
there, no.
treat this as a new application.
I think to be safe, we're gonna start, treat it as new. I mean, some of the things made, you know, have not changed, but it's, the whole scope of it has changed.
Right, well, and you remember before there were 13 or so buildings. This
Yeah.
is 100 individual homes,
It's pretty.
and then now 3 individual large buildings
Right.
also containing 100
And
units.
this is a larger.
That's like a clubhouse
The
with a
clubhouse.
pool and a tennis
Now,
court.
the two main things about this, which, you know, we even entertained, is it's still gonna have sewer and it's still gonna have
Yes.
city water, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
cause if those two
That's-
things are no, we have a,
Correct,
That's a much
no,
bigger
and that,
problem.
actually, you raise a good point with the sewer, that's also a wetland crossing.
of course.
And, I think this is it right here.
I mean, the
You'll
only-
see, it's actually under the stream. So this is it here, it ties in and jogs over.
Cause the
So
only way a
it goes through
project
several
of this,
wetlands.
yeah.
Right, this is the actual, right, a lot of wetlands, and then this is the actual like water course, which is, so they have, he can explain it better, but it's like concrete encased in
They'll have
that
to
area.
give us a feasible and prudent alternative. I understand there's
Yes.
probably gonna
I
have to
meant,
be one.
and that's the other thing that I
Yeah, they
don't
have to-
have, that's
yeah,
why I
right.
didn't wanna say.
I'm not
it's
saying this may
complete.
be it, this may be the best way, but they need to tell us why there's
Yes.
no other alternatives, cause it's a lot of wetland, you know,
And just
interaction.
as a quick aside, is this at 55 and over, or is this?
So this portion closest to Notch Hill could be up to, 10% of the property could be any age. The rest could be 20%, up to 20% of any age.
But yet they can still have the smaller lots?
Yes, it's, by federal regulation, they proposed a
Yeah.
text
Yeah.
amendment, which was approved.
Is that what- is that
And
what-
You
how,
could have 80
how is that
you could have 20%.
regulated?
Good question, by the association, it's really like self-regulated.
Okay.
Which I've actually seen already happen at Montgomery Village, you know, neighbors calling on other neighbors to say, you know, I see kids here, are they allowed to be here? Which is, yeah, it's a tough thing to prove either way. But per federal regulation, you couldn't have 100%. So the town attorney was involved in that, and that's where planning and zoning had agreed to do a text amendment. Again, 90%, 55 and over, 10% any age, and then 80/20.
This is 10% NVH?
Yes, this,
Okay, so 90% 55 and over.
right.
I would imagine the cost would be prohibitive for, you know, I mean, nothing against kids, but, you know, if I was gonna invest in $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 property, I'd want it to be as quiet as possible. I'm just
Well,
curious
that's
to know how
not
that.
my concern. My concern is if this is abused, that's 100 houses.
Oh, you're talking
You're
about as far as
talking
school.
$20,000
That
per
is-
child.
that's
School
And the
resources,
traffic?
absolutely.
No, no, no.
Traffic
absolutely.
on Notch Hill?
That's
No,
even another issue.
there's, well, first of all, so the developer is marketing it to 55 and over. They're not marketing it to any age. Their pitch anyway, which I agree with, is that there were situations that they encountered in other developments where, you know, one spouse is 55, someone else is 54, you know, how does that work? Or they have a child that's, you know, disabled that needs to live with them, or a grandchild, how does that work? So that's where they needed the flexibility.
I understand
I
that.
would
I
be
understand that,
shocked
but-
if it, I could
Moving
see
in
if
with a family of
it's,
6 and all of a sudden there's 6 new students
Yeah.
we have to unfortunately.
fair enough, but I could see like if there's maybe 82% of the units, you know, maybe there's a little bit here and there, but to go 100%
Right.
any age,
Well,
that,
Should watch the tape, because we talked for hours
Yes.
about this, hours.
So how, you know,
Hours and hours
how do you
about
really
this.
regulate this? I mean, I know what you
That's
do
why
through
I'm
Talking
deed
about
restrictions.
putting it on
restrictions.
regulated.
You do
deeds.
through
Yeah,
town.
we took- putting it
Association
on
deeds.
deeds.
I'm just wondering, because, you know, there's.
well, and it's self-regulated, so just like Montgomery Village,
Oh, I see what you mean.
that's how
People that
they
live there will,
market it.
right, yeah.
It's not, right, exactly,
I see what
they
you
want
mean.
it to be a
Okay.
55 and over community.
I always wondered, you know, how it worked. I never really understand the
He's done this
legality of
and
that.
they have, during their marketing, they do this all the time.
How many units are in Montgomery Village?
I think 50, 55, maybe 50.
And that really was a nice development. We went and walked, it, you know, they did a lot of changes to meet what we, you know, with the topography, the wetlands. They really, that was a well-done, project, I really have to say. If you ever been up there, it's really beautiful.
And have they done marketing to find, is there a need here, 55 and older?
I don't know.
For
I mean, I
units?
know for
Well, for
the state
taxpayers like us,
anyway.
there's a need for it.
Well,
No,
and
except
that-
that taxes the
Came up.
ambulance and the
I
fire
know,
and
but it's still better,
everything
but
else.
it's still better than
For the-
having 100
right.
kids
Yes,
moving there.
it is.
But for the state and for the average age of a resident, I know with the POCD, I mean, the average age in town, I think, is like 46 years old, so it's only
Mhm.
getting older. Student enrollment is declining. And actually, I've received a handful of inquiries about this project since this had come up even a few years ago. When's that being built? I'd like to stay in town, but I wanna downsize.
So it might be a
So I
good
think there
market.
is a demand
Are they
for smaller units.
Oh, really?
Two
Well,
bedroom?
Yes, so I think a lot of these, if it's like the one that they built in Orange, there's a master bedroom on the first floor and then a guest room on the second floor.
That's good to hear, so it'll be kind of affordable for people in town who might wanna stay, that's good, I mean,
Is there a limit on vehicles, I wonder? You only have 2 vehicles if you live there or something?
There's,
yeah,
that
three
would be the
pickups, 4
association, I mean,
ATVs,
that's a
you know,
good.
I'm just
it's
wondering about
classy.
the traffic
No,
on
that
Notch
would
Hill.
be a good
because
thing to
that's-
ask about
that's-
too.
Mhm.
That would be a zoning thing, right? That would
Yes,
be,
right.
obviously.
Yeah, I forget what
Right.
they said. There's one
I,
parking
again, I
space or
think
something?
the regulation, the association, and, yeah, I'll look at the regulations as well, they have to, yeah, they can have a garage, or they will have a
So you
garage,
think
but
if you're
there's not
talking
going to be street
couples,
parking.
you'd figure most would be
There's
2
this
bedrooms,
parking
right?
lot.
One car garage and then
Maybe
a place in
some-
front for another car or something. I don't know, I can't remember.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So who is the developer on this project? Is it still Cherry Hill?
As far as I know, yes.
No, so, you know, I know people who live in the orange one and they said it's great.
Okay.
You know, they're really happy with everything about it. But, I thought that somebody came before Wetlands, before I went south, with preliminaries on this project, and I thought it was a new developer.
So that's the engineer, Mike Ott, he's still on the
Oh.
project.
I remember him, that's who I was
So
thinking
is
of.
Doug Anderson part of this at all?
No.
No, he's not, is he? That's the difference.
Is this the same site that we
had checked on the overflow of rain and all that, or is that the other one down further?
Yes, well, yes, we were out here with the piles and
That was a-
conversations with
yes.
Doug Anderson
Mhm.
and, Robert Sachs and our friend,
So is anyone still monitoring this?
Get an environmental guy in monitoring
Yeah.
things.
Yes, Mike Harkin,
Mike Harper.
but the neighbor who was out there with concerns and,
Oh, yeah.
so they set up those check dams, they created the detention pond and, it's been working.
When's the last time it was checked on?
I'll have to look and see, I mean.
Because we've
I
had a
think
lot of
sometime-
rain
Oh, yeah.
this spring.
Yeah, yeah.
Lot of rain.
Winter,
Yeah.
wet spring.
Is Harkin still
No.
down there? No, the monitoring is over?
I think the monitoring is over, but I know Tom Hogarty has been out there, so.
Well, let's face it, we're.
And Mike Ott's been out there, actually, his engineer. Yeah,
I mean, once they start this ramps up, if, you know, if we get to that stage, we're gonna, if the clock resets, we're gonna have to, obviously, unfortunately, you and Kurt will be very busy, but, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
In
Oh,
the
yeah.
scope, obviously, we'll be looking at this very closely.
Yep.
Just make sure all their erosion controls and
Yeah.
everything were in place.
okay,
We got a lot coming up.
yes.
And they're still willing to, build the sewer system in such a way that the town can, that it'll extend, down the Route 80 corridor?
Not necessarily.
I don't know, it looks like
What?
they're coming from Route 22,
Yeah, they're
right?
trying to go around that.
Well,
I thought there was argument on that.
they go to Fowler Road, but I don't know how much past Fowler they go out.
Right, but the whole controversy, as I recall, was, how deep are they gonna be when they hit Fowler Road?
Uh-huh.
So that you
Right.
can go to the Guilford town line
Right,
and have enough pitch to get into it.
right. I don't know what the final decision is on that. They still have to go to WPCA to even get the approval, and the details of the sewer line have not been submitted, so to be determined, I think.
I thought that at one point the town was holding that over their head, saying this is what has to be done in order to get approval.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've softened their view on that.
Right, I'll check with Kurt and find out. Yeah.
Because I think that's really important. I mean, I should recuse myself from this as a property owner upstream.
Sounds like you might be in for this, dear Jerry, to get that sewer extended. I'm just speculating.
Not that I'm gonna do that, but,
I'm just kidding.
you know, I think it's important for the future of the town that it's all taken into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with such a large development
Hmm.
contributing to
Right.
the line.
Right.
Well, yeah, plus everything upstream is
Right.
a god-awful mess.
Well,
Right.
everything, right, from there to like, you know, the
Mhm.
plaza to the Guilford line, it's, yeah, it could use sewer hookups for a lot of those businesses.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Okay,
I guess then
That's-
adjournment?
yes.
Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Go ahead, Jer.
You can do it, you have some
Yeah,
fun,
then
Jerry.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, do we have a second?
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting